Welcome to Stress-Free SOULutions with Sarah. I'm your host, Sarah Elise, a stress management and fitness coach, advocating the world to trust their gut more often. I discuss various ways to manage stress and share personal stories of guest experts who have gone through the same stressors as all of you at home. Hey there, super moms of the universe. Let's play a game called hide and seek. No, not with your kids or that mysteriously vanishing left sock. It's time to seek out you in the everyday hide and seek of life. Introducing Mastering the Soul System, a 12-week journey to reclaim your time and energy. This course is your gateway to finding balance, energy, and joy in every aspect of your bustling life. Picture this, 12 weeks where the words mom and mayhem don't always go together. Rediscover yourself with every breath in our Soulful Mind Weeks. Sing out loud in the shower or car, off-key is absolutely fine, and dance during our Soulful Body sessions, and embrace the quiet whispers of your heart in our Soulful Spirit adventures. It's about time your spirit got a front row seat, don't you think? Join us on this journey. Embrace the harmony between being a dedicated mom and your personal aspirations. Mastering the soul system, because darling, in the noise, find your silence. And maybe, just maybe, a bit of that elusive thing called me time. You deserve to thrive, not just survive. So come on, slide into our world at www.livewellenhanceyou.com/soul system. Your journey back to you starts now.
Dan Corrigan of Organic 3 is a survivor of a life-threatening intestinal condition and creator of the unparalleled sensitive probiotic, formerly called DutPro, which is helping countless others around the world heal and thrive too. After spending tens of thousands of dollars on various doctors and useless supplements for an entire decade, Dan concluded that you can't regain your health without balancing your gut health. And the way to do that is through a real food diet. Dan has given lectures on wholesome food and holistic and gut health. He's held past leadership positions in organizations dedicated to Dr. Weston A. Price, CDS. Dan is trained in various natural health disciplines, such as acupressure, whole nutrition, and alternative medicine. He's also a certified body ecology coach under Donna Gates. In these capacities, Dan has connected with parents who asked him to create pure probiotics for their children on the spectrum with sensitivities to the ingredients and additives in commercial brands. He also helped bring the world's only raw cod liver oil to market with the Rosita family in Norway. I'm really excited. And guys, you know I don't bring anyone on here who haven't tried their products. And I gotta tell you that I've been feeling so much better just day to day with magnesium, especially added to my supplement journey. So Dan, I'm just incredibly grateful to have you on and to talk about what you're doing to provide all these amazing supplements to the world, really.
That's what it is bringing it to humanity and bringing it to the world. And yeah, grateful that I'm here with you today. And I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. A lot of people, when they find out they have something life-threatening, go into shutdown mode. And I know it can be hard to be like, I need to make these changes and I need to find a path for me. What was that like for you? I mean, you went from nearly dying to creating a healthy probiotic. What was your hell no moment when you knew the conventional path was failing you?
Yeah, so I did what probably most people do. It's like you have a health issue, you go to the doctor, and the intent is they're going to fix me, right? And that's what I did. Went to the doctor for them to fix me. I had a lot of gut health issues along with a myriad of other things, but I'm like, okay, I'll start with a gastroenterologist and have them run some tests and blood work and so on. And then I remember sitting across the desk and the doctor says to me, he reviews everything and he says, all the tests came back perfect. And he's like, what's amazing is your cholesterol is, I've never seen anybody with this low cholesterol. And at the time, I'm like, that sounds good to me. And later on, I came to realize low is bad. Most people think high is bad, but low is bad too. Anyways, I'm just thinking like, I told this doctor all the symptoms that keep adding up and piling up and all these issues that I'm having. And he says with a straight face to me, basically, I've never seen anybody this healthy in my life based on the tests. And I'm like, okay, this is not going to work. So I went to several other conventional doctors, and then I went to more holistic, and then I just started going to anybody that said they could do something. And then eventually it became, in my mind, it's on me. I have to take control of I can't just go somewhere else and have somebody fix me. And so that was kind of really the turning point. Was it really settled in pretty hard that I have to take control of my health and I have to figure this stuff out. And maybe I can use other people along the way, but I really have to be the driving force.
Why did you decide to start with supplements once you figured out this was something you might have needed?
Yeah. So I really actually avoided the supplement thing for a while because it just had like kind of a bad connotation. Like, there's different supplements in the marketplace. Some are good and some are not so good, or maybe they're marketed a little bit too much, and make too many promises. And so it just it felt a little icky around the idea of doing anything with supplements. And so what I originally did was I just started giving some free talks to different venues and really kind of more focused within the autism community because there was a lot of gut health issues within that community. So I'm like, this is a way for me to give back, is just share what I know about the food and diet and nutrition part. And people came up to me afterwards, after I would give some talks, and they would say, well, you bring up probiotics. Can you recommend a probiotic? And I'm like, I guess I could, I'm not here to do that, but that was a common reoccurring theme. So I'm like, well, I better go vet some products and find one that I can recommend. And that's what I did. I had kind of started recommending products and started selling products. And then what happened was then I got feedback from parents saying, oh, my child is sensitive and they can't take this product because of X. And then somebody else says, well, they can't take it because of Y. I'm like, this is supposed to be the best product on the marketplace. But they were saying that their children had such gut health challenges that even a good probiotic, they couldn't take it. It would cause negative reactions. And so then that led me down the path of, well, if there's nothing out there that they can take, then I should look into creating something that they can take.
What did you remove from your brands that other brands are still doing?
Yeah, so what most people don't realize, and what I didn't realize really at the time until I heard the feedback, and that was kind of, the thing that when you're a smaller company, you can react and listen to parents and listen to people, and it's not all about reading the science. I mean, that's part of it, but the other part is listening. What people don't always realize that different strains of bacteria, good bacteria, probiotics, can have different characteristics. So, for example, one thing is strains can either be histamine producing, histamine neutral, or histamine degrading. And so you might go buy a probiotic. Oh, I'm going to buy this. People say it's good, or the strain is good. And let's say if you have a injured gut, and maybe you have histamine issues, if you took a strain that's producing histamines, it's going to add to that problem. You might have a reaction. You might, man, this made me feel worse. The other thing within the probiotics is strains can either produce D-lactic acid or L-lactic acid. Again, both are fine. The problem is the more injured gut you have, the more challenge you have with breaking down excess D-lactic acid. You don't even know, like, I don't even know if maybe there's a test for it, but it's basically you might take a probiotic that's like, let's say acidophilus is a famous one that produces a lot of D-lactic acid. So if you took like mega dose of only acidophilus and you had a really injured gut, it would produce more D-lactic acid than you could break down. And that could cause neurological issues. You might have tics, you might have brain fog, you might feel just off in your brain and mental capacity. And then the other thing is some people are sensitive to strep strains. And one big thing is prebiotics. So prebiotics are the food for the probiotic bacteria. And so, of course, everybody's like, hey, this is great. It's got prebiotic and probiotic. But again, depending on where you are in your gut health healing journey, a prebiotic might cause a problem if you introduce it too early. So you're like, for us, we figured it's better off just to do the probiotic and avoid prebiotics completely. So anyways, we did all these different things, dealt with the histamine, dealt with the D-lactic acid, dealt with streptococcus, dealt with the prebiotic issue. And then what happened was interesting. We didn't even advertise to practitioners, and we had practitioners coming and saying, oh my God, this is exactly what we're looking for because it's solving all these things that are not well known, but it's maybe more known in communities that have the most challenge. It's ironic. The people that need the probiotic the most have the most challenges, so they can't just take off the shelf products all the time.
It's interesting because you're a guy that was from Florida and you end up working with Norwegians, which I think is really cool, to bring raw cod liver oil over to America and around the world, really. How did you get connected to them, and why was that such a need and a missed opportunity that people really weren't seeing in America?
For sure. So the one book that really inspired me was the Gut and Psychology Syndrome book. It's called The GAPS Diet. And what I liked about the book was it really was a food first approach to healing the gut. And the other thing I liked about it was, like I said, I kind of had a aversion to like promoting supplements because it's like there's varying degrees of supplements out there, good and bad. But in the book, it was really the key supplements to kind of help work in conjunction with the real food diet. The two supplements that were recommended in the book was a good high quality probiotic and then a cod liver oil. And the cod liver oil is good for omega-3s plus vitamin A and D and vitamin A or retinol. It helps the gut heal the gut wall. Plus it does a bunch of other things. But those are kind of the two key things, is a probiotic and a cod liver oil. And what most people don't realize, that cod liver oil sold in the marketplace today, it's processed very similar to canola oil. It's like ultra processed. So you're stripping away good things and nutrients. You're changing the oil itself, the nutrient profile, and you're removing the vitamin A and the vitamin D through the processing, and then they're adding it back in synthetic A and D. So what I see often is people are really hyper-focused on their diet, going to the farmer's market, working with farmers to buy grass-fed beef. They're cleaning out their cupboards of the seed oils. They're getting high-quality olive oil. So they do all this, clean up their diet. And when they go to the supplement world, they don't use the same filter, where they don't even know. They think cod liver oil, oh, that's good. And they don't realize that it's really ultra-processed. So Rosita was producing a fresh raw fish oil. They weren't producing a cod liver oil. So that's where I went out there. I'm like, hey, here's somebody that's actually doing some small batch fish oil that's unadulterated, and basically went out there to say, I flew out there to meet with them, and can you make a fresh raw cod liver oil? And they did. It took a couple of years to really kind of make it so it was shelf stable and all that kind of stuff, but it's nothing like anything else out there.
I love to play a game of gut myths. Yeah, so I've always had honestly gut health issues, and it took a lot of me changing my diet and also just my views on nutrition in general. Because when we were younger, we got that little pyramid chart when also the little plate that kind of told us what we needed to do. And obviously that has greatly shifted. So, especially you that has gone through a lot, I thought it would be fun to take this opportunity. You tell me truth or trash. And then we'll focus on a couple of them that I think that you say are false, and we can dig deeper. But so here we go. You need to poop every day or your gut is broken.
Truth.
Probiotics should always be refrigerated.
Trash.
Fermented foods can replace supplements completely.
Trash.
If a little is good, more is better, especially with vitamin A or liver.
Trash.
All fiber is good fiber.
Trash.
Bloating after eating is normal.
Trash.
Stress has nothing to do with gut issues.
Trash.
Cod liver oil is just old school hype.
You know what I think about that one? Trash.
And you can't heal your gut without cutting gluten.
I say truth. I mean, all these have a little asterisk by them, but it's
There's always like a little,
yeah,
And gut health is only about digestion.
trash.
Well, let's talk about the fermented foods can replace supplements completely. That's something that's newer, and I feel a lot of people that's something they're starting to believe more and more. So why?
Yeah, so I think if we grew up in an environment where there was no assaults on our gut from ultra processed foods or from fluoride in the water or from chlorine in the water or from over the counter medications or too much sugar in the diet, like we have all these assaults going on, right? And so if we lived in a time, and this is where I like Dr. Weston A. Price, he studied cultures that were untainted by modern food processing, if you will. So it is true in those cultures, they were healthy and they maybe had some fermented foods in their diet. And of course, they didn't eat supplements, right? And so I'm speaking of like, if somebody is really looking to regain their health, it is more challenging because if you have impaired digestion, that take some foods fermented foods, you just might be reacting to them. And it's going to be like causing good and bad at the same time. And so there are, I'm a fan. I mean, the body ecology diet was what I was trained in. It's all about fermented cultured foods, making your own sauerkraut, your own kefir, all these things. So I think it is more challenging, especially the more damage you have, to just use food. Sometimes, and then that's what I've seen. Talk to parents that basically their kid they could only eat one food. Like they were like one step away from a feeding tube because they were so ill. And so I've seen people that were either in the hospital and then start working in. Kefir is my favorite fermented food. And if you can't do dairy, you can do a coconut kefir. And so that works wonders, but many times people can't even start there, and so that's kind of my take on things.
Yeah. If a little is good, more is better, especially with vitamin A or liver. And you said trash.
Yeah, so this is it's funny. With vitamin A, it's very interesting. And vitamin A is, like I said, it's a key nutrient for gut health. It helps your immune system. It helps so many different things. And your eye is retinol, and you have retin. But so it's good for your eyes, good for your gut, good for overall health. And it's almost really interesting how vitamin A is like polarizing. It's like too much is bad, and people are like, avoid it like the plague, but you actually need, it's a Goldilocks, and that's how most vitamins are, but especially vitamin A. There's a sweet spot, so avoiding it doesn't do you good. And then when you do take it, taking too much can definitely cause problems. And so it kind of gets a bad rap, but it's all about finding that sweet spot. And vitamin A, the other problem with vitamin A is if you take that one, it is commonly known that synthetic vitamin A is very toxic. And so that's where you do want to get it from a natural source like Rosita. And then on our other brand, the Smidge, we sell beef liver. So it's in there, but if you just take the regular recommended dose, you're not going to overdo it.
Yeah. Now, I think that's so important. I also think what's great on your packaging too, it says start with this and you give recommendations.
Right.
Versus I feel like they're like, oh, take 4. You know, like with what? How am I getting all these force cells in my mouth? And how is that going to change my gut microbiome by a blood that you guys kind of give your new consumers this information, because otherwise they're kind of going blind with this.
Yeah. And so that's what, our brand for our supplements is Smidge. And that's like just to kind of communicate, just really, and really that's what it is taking, small steps, small amount, and everybody is different. And so it's, just kind of gratefully, listen to your body, basically. That's what we're, it's hard to put that on the label, but really that's kind of our mindset. You might only need 1 capsule. Somebody else might need 2 or 3 or something.
Exactly. I would say that you guys are on a mission to bring people back to balance and understanding their body. But I noticed, and this is just from years of coaching, that with wellness culture loves extremes. Why do you think just enough is the hardest advice for people to follow?
Well, what's interesting is I think in most people's cases, a lot of times being out of balance, that creates disease or symptoms, right? And a lot of times that happens over a longer period of time. So it might take years to get out of balance. And then you're like, okay, I'm ready, from the, Western mindset or American mindset, like, okay, I'm going to tackle this head on and go gung ho. And people do. And so they want to fix problems like overnight, problems that took maybe years to develop. And I think that's how marketing works too. It's like, take this, you'll be, you take one and see me in the morning or whatever. So I think we have this whole mindset of like quick fixes, and that's what people want to hear. And so I think that's, I think for people like what I see sometimes is I call it like the pendulum. You're way out of balance on one side, and then you take, mega doses or you do all these things and you start feeling better, but then you end up swinging all the way to the other side. Now you created an imbalance, and now you got to go take something else. And then it just goes back and forth. And so we're kind of like, hey, can you just ease back into the middle? And then you don't have to be like, and then maybe you can stop taking some supplements and just focus on the food part, but you got to kind of ease back in there. And that seems to be like a better solution, even though it's not like, hey, take this pill and you'll be better, take this mega dose and you'll be better in the morning. It's not as sexy, but I think it's better for most people.
But I think it's so clever. I think it's a very clever marketing that you guys are doing right now too, but in a positive way.
Yeah.
I don't get that as much anymore. But you clearly have a passion for helping people and especially kids. Where did that passion with kids begin?
Sure. I was, like I said, it was interesting. It took me like 10 years to kind of recover my health. And then when I got done, I'm like, okay, I'll just put that was just a chapter of my life. I'm going to continue on not doing anything with that anymore. I'm like done. And then I had a friend of mine, their child was diagnosed with autism. And the mom was like, you're kind of weird with this health stuff. She knew I was into this stuff. And she was like, let me pick your brain and stuff, And so I started talking with her, and it really kind of shone the light on like how much I learned over my 10-year journey. Like I didn't I wasn't like trying to learn. I just out of desperation had to learn. And so that's where my affinity with the autism community came, was when I was working with her, and I'm like, oh my God, there's all these things that relate to my journey and my gut health. Like it's very much parallels a lot of these kids in the autism community. So I'm like, okay, that's like, it just felt like that's my calling to help, I'm going to give back, because why should I waste all this stuff that I learned and just put it on the shelf? I'm going to give back in that community.
It's also very hard for parents because there's so many things that they need to focus in on for their kid. And then one less thing to think about, I'm sure, was extremely helpful.
Right. Exactly. Totally. Yep. They're overwhelmed. And as you know, the supplement world is overwhelming for anybody, let alone if more you have on your plate, the more overwhelming it is, for sure.
And I was like looking for supplements for pregnancy. Like when I got pregnant, I was like, oh, I was looking at all like just the basic ones you would find in the drugstore. And I was like, how are they selling this? Like, how on earth are they doing this? This is, if anything, it's damaging,
Right.
intestinal lining and with all, what the capsules are made out of and all these things. And they're like, oh, make sure you, have like a big meal. And I'm like, why does it need to be a big meal? Like, why can't I have a banana? Whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's just interesting. How do you think we are kind of being duped as consumers into these supplements? And they're not cheap. Like even the bad ones are expensive.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a great question. Sometimes you look at, and it's really hard for a person to look at the label and really discern what's good and bad. But I think maybe it's more indicative of the kind of like my position when I went to the regular doctors and they say, oh, you're fine. So you're like, okay, I got to look somewhere else. And so maybe it's a symptom of the problems with the mainstream medical system that people look elsewhere. And then different companies have different motives that it's like, hey, we can capitalize on this market. And so, I think that, like, again, I think there's good supplement companies out there. And then, but there's a lot that are made like they have mega factories that are just pumping out these supplements. And so I think a lot of them are coming from, it's like, okay, they're using not the best ingredients. And like I said, I guess that's America, that you can make whatever you want. I'm so grateful to be in the position I'm in, to have a company that can run our machines slower because we're not using excipients, and that those are ingredients that are either not healthy or you don't need. But the people that are running these large factories, they're having to put in basically lubricants into the pill to make their profits and either reduce costs or just increase profit margins. So yeah, I can't speak for exactly. I just assume it's more of a profit motive than a health motive.
Yeah. Are there certain ingredients that we should look for as consumers that do not consume at all?
I think, and that's kind of the interesting thing, because I think sometimes things get demonized, which is maybe rightfully so, but sometimes it's like so small that it's like we're focused on some of the excipients, which again, like I said, are not good. Like magnesium stearate really is like a hydrogenated oil, and it's in a lot of supplements. But on the flip side, the other thing that's more challenging or whatever is that you have vitamins and minerals. And, I think our brains naturally think they're one and the same. Vitamins and minerals, like supplements, nutrition, it's all good. But really, minerals, the way I look at it, these are substances in the earth. And I mean, they're in plants and animals too, but they're distinct and different than a vitamin are only in living creatures. So vitamins are kind of, I don't say, there's like a life force. There's more to a vitamin because it's created in a living creature, where minerals exist in nature as elements. And so the reason I share that is that we don't sell any synthetic vitamins, so we're not selling anything that's not food, from food. So we have beef liver, it's got naturally occurring vitamin A, B12, other vitamins that are occurring in there. And that's why we also work with Rosita, with the cod liver oil. It has naturally occurring vitamin A and D in that. And so I think a lot of times people are buying vitamin supplements and maybe they're looking for these offensive ingredients like excipients, but really the main ingredient is also offensive. If it's a synthetic vitamin that is not, your body is not receiving it the same way as it would one that's created in nature. So I think that's maybe not exactly the answer you want.
I mean, it's honest.
Yeah. So it's complicated, and I think it's tough for people.
Yeah. And then what do you feel, nutrition, supplements aside, what should we be putting more into our diet that we're missing out on food-wise?
Yeah, I think, if I look at the work of Dr. Weston A. Price, who was the dentist that traveled the world and looked at healthy cultures and just said, what do they eat? And so, what was interesting that depending on the culture, they ate what was local to them. And so some places it was like they're drinking milk and eating bread and they were healthy. And then places are eating fish, or another place they're eating all these different things, disparate things. So the only common denominator was that they were eating some type of animal or fish. They were eating something that was rich in fat soluble vitamins. So you're getting that from animals or fish. And then that's important. Maybe some people have a harder time with digesting meat, but that can be, sometimes remedied with gut health. So I think it is. And then the other thing is, eating. I think the main thing is the more you can eat that's real food, the better. And being conscious of, like I said, eating, not avoiding meat like the plague. It's like, okay, maybe if you can eat something that has even, most people don't eat. It's hard to find like beef liver because that's got all of these vitamins in it. But the higher quality food you can afford, or if you can find local farmers, I think the better. And then also on the gut health standpoint, if you can reduce your grains, that's always helpful. Or make your own broth. That's a nourishing thing too. So maybe the final thing would be salad dressings are better nowadays, but before they were really bad. And so I think that's a couple things to look out for is minimizing grains if they're processed, trying to find from local farmers, either meat, fish, or vegetables, and then making some bone broth and avoiding the seed oils and the bad salad dressings.
Thank you. This has been so wonderful. I love speaking with you. I always ask this one question to close out an interview, and it's, how has stress saved your life?
Yeah, so that's it's a interesting question, because I think when I was on my health journey, like when I was really sick, I wasn't feeling, I think my body was stressed, but I wasn't feeling, I was just more like survival mode. Like I'm just going to figure out my path. And then once I get healed, then when I started a business, that's when the stress came. I felt more stress. I guess it's like, okay, I got to like put all my heart and soul into creating something. And then it negatively impacted family life and my health, because then I'm like working a lot of hours. So that's when I felt stressed. But how did it help me was, okay, I knew I had to get out of that situation. And then what ended up happening was when I hired people and built a team and built our culture in our company, I really learned a lot along the way, working different jobs for different types of people. So I really try to create an environment where people can be challenged but not stressed at their jobs. And I have this great, amazing team that I'm grateful. So now I'm stress-free because there's people that are doing the things that they love and they're good at. And so they're not stressed. And they're doing way better at every job that I was doing when I was doing all these different jobs. And so now I have, better relationship with, with my family. And so the stress, kind of prompted me to create a non-stress environment.
Yeah. And oh my gosh, delegation and having a team is so important.
Yeah.
Well, how can people find your products and connect with you?
Sure. Yeah, our products, getsmidge.com. That's our Smidge Small Batch Supplements. And then for the olive oil side, we have rositausa.com. And so those are probably the best ways. And then, one thing I wanted to mention later this year, right now it's at the publisher. I wrote a book. And so that's upcoming in the next few months. So that's pretty exciting. And so if you go to Instagram, I have a profile up there, Dan Corrigan Wellness. And so you can find me on Instagram there. But yeah, getsmidge.com, rositausa.com. And then later this year, look for my book, Eat Well, Supplement Well, Digest Well. So that's the new book coming out.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and sharing your experience.
Oh, thanks so much. I really appreciate the time today, and I enjoyed our time together.
Thanks. Well, everyone, you know what to do. Share your takeaways. You can find me at Sarah Elise Coaching, and we can chat there. Find Dan. And as always, remember to speak well to yourself on this self-love journey. Until next time, take care.
Thanks to Dan Lieber at Beckett Brown Music for the intro and outro music. You can keep in touch with me on Instagram at Sarah Elise Coaching. If you're looking to improve your health and wellness, check out my business, livewellenhanceyou.com. While you're there, join the Live Well Enhance You email list and receive exclusive offers for our wellness programs and events. Until next time, take care.